What's up, everyone? We're so excited to join you all today for a conversation about the future of green jobs here at the Earth Day Festival. And I'm so excited to be joined by Jamie and Aiyana here from Project Drawdown. And I am going to be talking a little bit with them about green jobs. So to introduce myself, I'm Kristy Drutman, and I am the co-founder of the Green Jobs Board, which is a multimedia platform focused on recruiting and getting more people into climate careers. We are all focused on bridging the equity gap, especially to get more diverse and inclusive voices into the room when it comes to climate careers. And I'm also the founder of Brown Girl Green, which houses the Green Jobs Board, which is also a multimedia platform centered around diverse climate storytelling. So super happy to be here with these amazing folks to talk about green jobs. And I would love to have Aiyana and Jamie introduce themselves.
Cool. I can just jump in. Hi, everybody. So nice to be here with y'all today. I'm Aiyana Bodi, she, her pronouns. I'm a senior associate with Drawdown Labs. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York, and I help lead our employee engagement work at Drawdown Labs. So really what that means is kind of just helping create resources and content for employees to take climate action in their workplaces, connect and build relationships with climate concerned employees and business partners, and really just generally working to show companies and industries really how to strive for like a higher standard of corporate climate action. And that includes all parts of their business. And I can toss it over to Jamie.
Hey, hi everyone. Great to be with you all. I'm Jamie Alexander, Director of Drawdown Labs at Project Drawdown. And yeah, I work with Aiyana on sort of creating a more expansive definition of what corporate climate action and leadership looks like. And then, helping employees across the business find their inroads. So it's not just one job function that can work on climate change, but it's really dispersed throughout the entire company. Great to be with you all.
Fantastic. And, something that we say at the Green Jobs Board also is that, every job can be a climate job. And I know that you, Jamie, really hone in on that. And you even have a TEDx video about talking. Let me say that again. We can edit that part. You even have a TEDx video that covers that topic. And so I want to know a little bit more on how do you define every job being a climate job?
Yeah, great question. I mean, to me, this is climate change is the biggest, most all-encompassing challenge that we've ever faced. And, it's everything we know and love, right? So every part of society, every part of every sector of the economy needs to transform. There is so much work to be done. So the idea that there are like climate jobs and non-climate jobs, or like people who work on climate change and people who don't, and that you need like specific qualifications or, expertise to be able to work on it is just like nonsensical to me. Like there's something in this quite literally for everyone. Like we need to rebuild every part of the way we live on this planet. And so therefore, like there must be something for everyone to do from wherever they come from, whatever they are good at. And so that's really, I think, what we mean by every job is a climate job. Like, yes, climate jobs, quote unquote, exist, but also we need people, so we need people to like go and work on climate jobs specifically, of course, but we also need people like working deeply inside the system from wherever they sit, whether they're in operations or, sales or a Lyft driver, like wherever they are, helping to transform the system from the inside. So I think we look at that from both of those directions, working in climate jobs, changing from the outside and helping everyone leapfrog faster, and then working deeply inside the system to transform what we've currently got.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there needs to be both an inside and outside strategy when it comes to addressing the climate crisis. And I think there's a huge opportunity of, tapping into green jobs, which I believe a lot of people are thinking about how can they put food on the table? How can they support their families? And I think green jobs are a great conversation point to get people into that space. And with that being said, I know that Drawdown has developed a climate solutions at work guide for maybe people who either are in a job that's not currently a climate job and maybe wants to make that more sustainable, or you're in a climate job but you're trying to learn how to expand that. So Aiyana, could you talk a little bit more about the climate solutions at work tool?
Yeah, happy to. So as Jamie mentioned, and that like the phrase that she's really pushed is that like every job should be a climate job. And so the Climate Solutions at Work guide is really an expansion of like what that phrase really means. And I think, to some quick like context within that, I think it's probably clear to all of us here that like current climate action by the private sector is really not like matching the severity of the climate crisis, and net zero by 2050 isn't really a leading goal anymore. And we need more ambitious and systemic action by businesses. And so the Climate Solutions at Work guide was really like Drawdown Labs' attempt to do two things. One was to like show a new, much higher standard framework for corporate climate action. We call this framework the Drawdown Aligned Business Framework. So thinking about how businesses can align with Drawdown, and really thinking about how businesses can look beyond reducing just their operational emissions and like really utilize the financial and cultural and political power that they really have. And so when businesses expand how they think about climate action, that also means they really need to expand who is working on climate action within their companies. And so this guide is really geared towards employees who are concerned about the climate. And the guide is really meant to help what we say like democratize climate action. So really like unsilo climate action from only being a part of sustainability teams, so that everybody can contribute, so that everybody can have a climate job. And I think the guide is really a tool for employees who want to make a difference where they already are, understanding that, like you said, Kristy, some people, have very real concerns that they need to think about in terms of like providing for their family. So people might not want to leave their jobs. Maybe they have like a nice cushy job that they don't want to necessarily leave, and that's totally fine. And so how do we like make those jobs into climate jobs? And so how can people start making the connections between their current roles and climate action, climate solutions? And the guide also provides some kind of like actionable steps employees can take in feeling confident and asking for change within their organizations. I think ultimately like large scale change and action on climate from companies is really gonna come from like employees coming together and really pushing from the inside. And the last thing I'll mention, we did have a follow-up to that guide come out last year called Job Function Action Guides, which get like much more specific in terms of like how different corporate roles can take climate action. So I would definitely encourage folks to check that out if they're looking for more detail on how to like really connect their roles to climate.
Awesome. That's such a useful tool. I know I'll be checking it out myself. So thank you for sharing that. And, I think the through line here is that when it comes to climate career pathways, there's not exactly a clear roadmap on how to navigate that, whether you're inside a corporation or you're outside just wanting to pursue a more, environmentally oriented career path. It can be a bit stressful to figure out how to navigate that when there's not those clear pathways. And so I just want to know if you all had suggestions of a pathway or maybe how people could get started. This might distinctly go for maybe younger people. What are some forms of education or some types of opportunities you think that they could pursue to start exposing themselves to maybe begin their journey of a climate career pathway? And I'll pass it to either of you. Either of you can take that one.
I can start, and then Aiyana, I'd love your thoughts too. So I think first I would look at, so Project Drawdown, we at our organization, we really look at what are all the solutions to climate change. It's more than just like renewable energy and, electric vehicles. There are like almost 100 climate solutions that our organization has evaluated and looked at. And so that's going to require, looking at that list of what climate solutions are, like regenerative agriculture, indigenous land tenure, like addressing food waste. There are lots of different solutions, and that brings in a lot more people with a lot of different passions. Like if you're passionate about food or indigenous land rights or traditional ecological practices, or building efficiency, or if you're a designer or work in construction, there are, or an accountant, like there are so many solutions that you can look at. It doesn't matter what your like degree was in or what your passion is, coming out of school. Like there are a lot of ways to translate that into a climate job. And I think that's really the direction that we're headed, in the future with pretty much every job on earth is going to have a climate lens to it. So like being leveled up and ready to jump in from wherever you are, I think would be a good first step. Aiyana, over to you.
Yeah, and I'll just kind of keep expanding on that idea. I think there's a lot of jobs out there that people think are totally unrelated. I think when it comes to like the built environment, some people probably have a better sense of like how that does directly relate to emissions, but there are jobs that are more like white collar, like marketing or HR, that don't sound like they're connected to climate change and climate solutions, but they really are. And people in marketing can make decisions around like what PR firms that they hire. Like maybe don't hire PR firms that work for fossil fuel clients. If you work in sales, you can talk to your clients about climate solutions. And so there's a lot of like ways you can connect it. And another thing I would say is that there's so many amazing resources out there like around this idea, including your job board, Kristy, including a ton of resources of Project Drawdown that are for free. And there's other amazing groups like Terra.do and Work on Climate, just to name a couple, that like are really cultivating massive communities of people who are like asking this exact same question. So I would definitely encourage people to tap into those. And the last thing I'll say is that you definitely don't like need a degree in climate science or environmental science to be involved in any of this. Like Jamie said, a lot of these things really actually require the expertise of like that field, whether that be like marketing or finance or whatever it is. But just definitely kind of push that point too, because I feel like a lot of people think, well, I don't have like a climate science background, how can I work in climate change? And that's definitely a myth that I think we need to dispel.
Definitely. And, thank you so much for plugging those resources. I would love people to check out the Green Jobs Board as a resource as the beginning of your climate career pathway as well, because we're not just about listing climate jobs, we're about providing a resource for people to understand the ecosystem of what the jobs are that exist and the career pathways you can take, and we try to make it conversational and accessible no matter where you're getting started in your climate journey. So I think pairing it up with Green Jobs Board, checking out Drawdown Labs resources on how to as you're moving up in an organization, especially in your leadership, taking those tools and being able to do organizational change, I think all of that together is really going to shift the future of work. So I'm so happy to be in community with all of you, doing this incredible work to shift the green economy, and so grateful for Earth Day Festival for allowing us to host this conversation. Again, I'm Kristy Drutman, co-founder of the Green Jobs Board, and we are joined today with Jamie Alexander and Aiyana Bodi from Drawdown Labs. Thank you so much for joining us.